Welcome to Teraflora Studio, a place where every leaf, color, and light becomes a story of renewal. Here, we believe that beauty doesn't always begin with something new. Often, it starts with what the world has left behind. Through every scene and creation you'll see today, we celebrate the art of upcycling, transforming simple, forgotten materials into moments of quiet wonder. In each frame, there is warmth, the soft hum of the garden, the glow of light upon glass, the gentle rustle of flowers meeting the wind. We walk slowly through spaces where creativity meets calm, where time seems to move differently. Each idea is not just decoration. It's a reflection of care, patience, and the wish to see nature and human hands working together again. As you listen and watch, allow your thoughts to rest. Let your eyes follow the shapes of color, your heart wander through the stillness of the garden. This is not just about making, but about feeling, about remembering that harmony can grow from anything, even from what was once broken or unused. This content was created with the help of artificial intelligence, a gentle companion in crafting words and images that honor both creativity and the natural world. All stories, visuals, and ideas are designed to inspire, not instruct, to awaken the imagination that already lives within you. If this world of calm beauty speaks to you, stay a while longer. Let the garden unfold. And if you wish to grow with us, we warmly invite you to subscribe to Teraflora Studio, where every creation begins with kindness and every moment blooms in light. As daylight begins to fade, the garden slowly transforms. The last rays of sun spill through the leaves, and the glass bottles, once discarded and forgotten, begin to glimmer with new purpose. Each bottle holds a tiny flame, flickering softly like a heartbeat against the cool evening air. The patio becomes a quiet sanctuary, glowing with gentle warmth and stories untold. A faint scent of marigold drifts through the breeze, mingling with the earthy fragrance of wet soil. The lanterns sway slightly, suspended from iron hooks and tree branches, their reflections dancing on cobblestone paths. There is no sound but the rustle of leaves and the soft hum of twilight insects, a calm rhythm that wraps around the garden like a lullaby. Every bottle is unique. Some are emerald, others amber or clear, each painted lightly by hand to catch the fading light in its own way. Tiny imperfections in the glass turn into jewels when the candles inside begin to breathe. A simple piece of wire, a loop of twine, a recycled lid, nothing wasted, everything reborn. As night deepens, the glow grows more intimate. The lanterns guide the eye along flower borders, tracing colors that seem to linger beyond their bloom. Yellow marigolds, pink asters, mauve chrysanthemums. The world feels slower here, and somehow kinder. You realize that beauty does not come from what's bought new, but from what's given another chance to shine. Under the canopy of a soft autumn sky, these upcycled bottle lanterns become more than decor. They are the garden's quiet heartbeat, a reminder that light can always be found, even in the simplest, most forgotten things. In the quiet heart of the garden stands an old door, its hinges long still, its frame kissed by the passing years. Once it led to somewhere ordinary, but now it opens to something more beautiful, a wall of living roses. From the ground, emerald vines climb upward, weaving themselves around the grain of time-worn wood, threading through the cracks and around the faded handle. The sunlight plays upon it softly. Pink and ivory blooms spill over the panels, their fragrance drifting through the late afternoon air. Bees hum lazily nearby, tracing paths between chrysanthemums and asters, while the breeze stirs the petals in a rhythm that feels almost human, an exhale of renewal. This door, once forgotten, has become the soul of the garden. Its peeling paint and uneven surface no longer speak of decay but of endurance. Each rose that blooms upon it tells the story of second chances. There's a beauty in the contrast. The solid strength of wood meeting the fragile grace of petals, the memory of what was blending gently with what now is. At twilight, the door casts long shadows across the stone path, and as the last light fades, Small bottle lanterns flicker to life around its base. Their golden glow touches the climbing roses like whispered blessings. The garden exhales warmth, nostalgia, and quiet pride. Somewhere within that glow, you can almost hear the garden speak. Even what has closed can still open again, if it stands in the light long enough. The upcycled door trellis doesn't simply decorate, it transforms. It gives meaning to what's weathered and breathes softness into structure. Among the whispering leaves and gentle colors, the door stands not as a relic of the past, but as a gate to renewal, a symbol that every forgotten thing can bloom again. In a quiet garden painted with the soft gold of late afternoon, tiny wings flutter between petals. The air hums with gentle life, sparrows, finches, and robins tracing invisible patterns across the sky before landing upon something both humble and beautiful. A coconut shell, repurposed with care, now serving as their table of kindness. Once fallen from a palm, forgotten beneath the sun, the shell has found new meaning here. Its rough surface cradles seeds and crumbs, swinging gently from twine like a cradle in the wind. The scent of chrysanthemums fills the air, mingling with the sweet musk of marigolds. Each bloom catches the light in shades of amber and honey, framing the feeders in a chorus of color. The garden becomes a living melody, every chirp a note, every flutter a rhythm. The birds, unaware of their audience, feast joyfully, scattering seeds that fall into the soil below. In time, some will sprout, becoming new life born of chance and generosity. There is quiet poetry in this transformation. The coconut shell, once destined to decay, now sustains the living. It swings softly, its curved surface holding sunlight and shadow alike. It becomes both art and act, a reminder that beauty thrives when purpose and kindness intertwine. As dusk approaches, the air cools, and soft lights begin to twinkle among the branches. The shells glow faintly, reflecting the colors of nearby blooms. The birds retreat to their nests, leaving behind a hush that feels almost sacred. Here in this small corner of the world, something simple has become eternal. The upcycled coconut shell doesn't just feed birds, it feeds the soul. In its stillness, it whispers a truth to anyone who will listen. Even the smallest gesture, when made with care, can fill the world with song. When morning light spills over the garden, it finds its way into every corner, gliding across leaves, tracing the edges of petals, and finally resting upon the wall of glass. Here, sunlight becomes art. The bottle wall, born from remnants of old colors and forgotten drinks, now paints the garden anew every dawn. Each bottle has its own hue and history. Emerald green catches the light like moss after rain. Cobalt blue glows deep as a summer sky. Amber burns softly, like the last warmth of sunset. Together, they form a mosaic that breathes, each ray of sun transforming it into a living canvas that changes with every passing hour. The wall hums with light, reflecting shimmering patterns across the soil and onto the faces of chrysanthemums swaying nearby. Bees drift lazily through the glow, landing on asters that seem to blush under the colored reflections. There's something almost sacred about it, a dance of shadow and transparency, of fragility and strength. This wall doesn't separate, it connects. It stands between spaces not as a barrier, but as a bridge between what was thrown away and what is now reborn, between ordinary glass and extraordinary light. Its beauty lies not in perfection, but in the way imperfection becomes harmony when touched by the sun. As morning deepens, the garden awakens fully. Dew sparkles on petals, birds call softly from the fence, and the bottle wall continues its silent performance, casting blues upon leaves, gold upon paths, and green upon hearts that pause long enough to see. In that quiet moment, you realize that every piece of discarded glass carries a hidden sunrise within it. It only needed a wall, a bit of imagination, and a place to catch the light. What once was waste now sings with color, turning the first light of day into a gentle promise. Beauty never truly disappears. It only waits to be seen again. Against the gentle wall of an old cottage, beneath a window alive with blossoms, stands a door reborn. Once a passage to somewhere ordinary, it now holds shelves of clay and life. The scent of rosemary, mint, and thyme lingers in the air, green, sweet, and full of memory. The morning sun touches the door's surface, revealing layers of paint faded by time, yet still whispering of the hands that once opened it. Now it opens to the world in a new way. Tiny pots line its frame, each one a story of care and renewal. Soil clings to the cracks, herbs reach toward the light, and the breeze carries their fragrance through the open window above. Inside, the air feels fresher, touched by the perfume of living green. A few bees drift near, drawn by the flowers of nearby chrysanthemums and marigolds. Their hum joins the sound of the rustling leaves and the distant chirp of sparrows, a melody of morning that turns the smallest garden into a sanctuary. The upcycled door stands proud yet humble, its imperfections polished by purpose. It isn't just decoration, it's a testament to the gentle balance between nature and nurture. The herbs thrive not in perfection but in possibility. Each stem bends toward light filtered through lace curtains. Each pot rests in harmony with weathered wood. By afternoon, when the light turns golden, the door seems to glow. The herbs cast delicate shadows against the wall, and the air feels slower, more intentional. Here, life breathes quietly but fully. The garden doesn't need grand gestures. It only needs care, patience, and imagination. When night falls, soft lights cradle the door, and the garden sighs into stillness. What once closed is now open again, not to rooms, but to life itself. The old door has found its calling, not as an entryway, but as a keeper of fragrance, color, and calm. And as the breeze carries the scent of mint into the air, you realize that even forgotten things can grow beautiful again when touched by light and love. At the edge of the garden pond, where light and water meet, the evening begins to hum softly. The world slows down. The first candle is lit, a tiny flame resting inside a hollowed coconut shell. It floats gently across the surface, leaving behind ripples that catch the last blush of sunset. Soon, others join, forming a constellation of golden light drifting on water as calm as glass. Each shell once held the flavor of the tropics, shaped by sun and sea. Now it holds something gentler, a flicker of warmth and reflection. The scent of chrysanthemums and marigolds fills the air, mixing with the faint sweetness of melting wax. Their colors mirror in the water, creating a painting that shifts with every breath of wind. Around the pond, the garden watches in stillness. Sedum glows faintly in the dim light, and the petals of Japanese anemones sway like soft curtains. Fireflies appear among the leaves, curious about the floating lights below. The air carries the soft hum of night, mingling with the quiet crackle of the flames. It feels almost sacred, the meeting of water, fire, and nature's patience. The coconut shells float not as decoration but as memory, reminding the garden that even the most ordinary things can become luminous when given purpose. The pond becomes a mirror of the sky, each tiny flame like a star fallen to rest for the night. As darkness deepens, the candles drift slowly toward one another, gathering near the pond's center as if seeking company. Their reflections double upon the surface, two worlds of light, one above and one below. And there, in that perfect balance, lies the soul of upcycling itself. Transformation through care, beauty born from what was once forgotten. The floating candle pods burn softly until the last flame fades into the night breeze, leaving only warmth behind. A whisper of light that lingers in memory long after the garden sleeps. When the morning sun stretches over the garden, it finds a row of glass bottles waiting to catch its light. The fence that once marked the garden's boundary now glows like a jeweled crown. Green, amber, and blue bottles stand side by side, their translucent necks glistening as beams of light pour through them, each one turning sunlight into color. Below, wildflowers burst into bloom, marigolds golden as morning, asters cool as sky, chrysanthemums like soft lanterns of white. The light from the bottles touches them, painting petals in hues that seem almost unreal. The fence no longer divides space. It binds beauty together. There's something poetic in the simplicity. Each bottle, once emptied and forgotten, now stands tall as a vessel of light. The imperfections in their glass become prisms that scatter rainbows across the soil. Bees hum beneath them, drawn to the brilliance, while shadows of vines creep upward to meet the glow. In the afternoon, when the sun turns mellow, the garden fence becomes a living sculpture. Children passing by stop to watch how the colors shift with the wind. The reflections dance across the leaves like moving water, alive, fleeting, and endlessly new. As dusk approaches, tiny fairy lights weave through the bottles, mingling their soft yellow with the fading glow of day. The garden transforms again, still, serene, and full of quiet wonder. Each bottle catches one last whisper of light, as though storing it for the stars to borrow later. It's a small thing, this fence of glass and color, yet it carries a great truth, that beauty often hides in the most overlooked corners, waiting for someone to see it differently. What was once mere waste now sings in the wind, glimmering with purpose and grace. And as the wildflowers below rest for the night, their petals kissed by color, the garden breathes out a soft, contented sigh, its heart glowing in the rhythm of reused light. In the corner of a quiet garden, where the scent of marigolds drifts through the air, an old door has found its rest. Once it opened and closed to the rhythm of daily life. Now, it invites stillness, painted in soft pastels, mint, cream, and pale rose. It sits reborn as a bench, its frame adorned by ivy that winds like a memory made visible. The morning sun kisses the paint, catching the subtle imperfections that make it beautiful. Aster blooms bow nearby, their purple and white petals brushing gently against the legs of the bench. The air hums with bees, the sound blending with the rustle of ivy leaves. Every inch of this scene feels slow, unhurried, as though time itself has chosen to linger here. The door-turned bench tells a story not of endings, but of transformation. Its hinges now hold dreams instead of weight. Its panels cradle laughter, rest, and quiet thought. Cushions patterned with soft florals rest upon it, their colors echoing the blooms around them. The bench feels like a secret waiting to be discovered, a place for tea, a book, or the kind of silence that heals. As afternoon light filters through the branches, the pastel surface glows softly, framed by ivy trails that shimmer in the breeze. The garden seems to lean closer, as if admiring what love and imagination have created from something forgotten. When twilight comes, fairy lights awaken, tiny stars tangled in the ivy. Their glow turns the door bench into a poem made of light and color. It stands quietly, holding space for everything the garden cannot say aloud. The upcycled door bench does not ask for attention. It earns it with grace. It reminds every passerby that beauty often blooms not from what's new, but from what's given another chance. And in that quiet space, surrounded by flowers and soft fading daylight, you feel it too. The comfort of renewal, the warmth of gentle transformation, the simple truth that nothing loved is ever truly lost. Beneath the gentle arch of an old pergola, small shells swing quietly in the wind. Once fallen from faraway palms, these coconut halves now cradle bursts of life, tiny gardens suspended in the air. From each shell spill marigolds, asters, and sedum, their colors glowing like captured sunlight in the cool breath of autumn. The air smells of damp soil and fading leaves. Dew clings to the ropes that hold the shells, sparkling as the morning light reaches them. The garden hums with soft movement, bees lingering longer than usual, a breeze weaving through hanging blooms, the faint rustle of petals brushing one another. Everything feels alive, connected by threads both seen and unseen. Each planter holds more than flowers. It holds the story of transformation. What was once discarded has been shaped into something graceful, each curve of the shell protecting tender roots and hopeful color. The rough exterior of the coconut contrasts with the softness of blossoms, a reminder that beauty often grows best when framed by simplicity. By midday, the sunlight spills through the canopy, scattering patterns of gold upon the shells. Their shadows dance upon the stone path below, whispering with each sway of wind. The garden becomes a living gallery, each hanging planter a stroke of color painted by nature herself. As dusk settles, the shells glow beneath strings of light, their flowers turning to gentle silhouettes against the sky. The air grows cooler, the scents deeper, the stillness almost musical. It is here, among these humble hanging planters, that one feels how small acts of care can ripple into quiet beauty. The coconut shells remind us that nothing is ever too small to hold wonder. Even the simplest creation, when touched by purpose and patience, can lift the spirit of a garden, making it breathe not just with color, but with meaning. And as night falls softly over the blooms, the hanging shells sway one last time, whispering in the wind. Life always finds a way to grow again. Sometimes all it needs is a little string, a little soil, and a little love. In the quietest corner of the garden, where the marigolds blaze like captured sunlight, a gentle sound rises, water falling softly through glass. The bottles shimmer as it moves, each one catching the light differently. Emerald like the sea, cobalt like dusk, amber like memory. Together they form a small symphony of movement, a fountain built not from wealth, but from wonder. Once they were empty and forgotten, remnants of old celebrations. Now, they stand reborn, each bottle part of a living sculpture that whispers tranquility. Water slips through their narrow necks and gathers in a stone basin below, its ripples catching reflections of gold and green. Bees drift by, pausing for a drink. Petals float lazily on the surface. The world seems to hold its breath to listen. Marigolds surround the fountain like fire, their fragrance thick in the warm air. Asters and sedum lean gently toward the sound, their blooms swaying to its rhythm. The garden feels alive, connected by the soft, endless cycle of flow and return. This corner of the yard has become a sanctuary, a place where time slows and every drop of water carries the memory of what was once wasted but now renewed. The bottles gleam under the sun and glow at dusk, their colors deepening as the light fades. The garden's hum quiets to match the fountain's steady song. As night settles, small lights appear, hidden among the flowers, reflecting off the glass like scattered stars. The fountain murmurs still, steady and sure, a promise in motion. It doesn't shout for attention. It invites presence. It reminds us that beauty isn't in perfection, but in persistence. The way water keeps finding a path, the way glass keeps catching the light. In the hush of evening, the bottle fountain and the marigolds seem to breathe together. The garden, once ordinary, now feels complete. A portrait painted with sound, color, and renewal. And somewhere within the rhythm of falling water, you can almost hear the garden's heartbeat whisper. Everything that flows finds its way home again. In a garden no larger than a whisper, space is precious. Yet here, where walls once hemmed the world in, a door now opens to infinity. Not by passage, but by reflection. An old wooden frame, sanded and softened by time, holds a mirror that does what no window can. It doubles the dream. Sunlight slips across its surface, catching glimpses of marigolds in bloom, of asters bending gently in the breeze. The garden appears to stretch beyond itself, becoming more than it was. A trick of light, yes, but also of imagination. The frame, painted in soft pastel hues, leans quietly against the wall, vines of ivy curling across its edges as if drawn toward another world. It is hard to tell where reality ends and the illusion begins. In the reflection, the flowers seem endless, their colors repeating into eternity. Bees drift toward the mirror, confused but undeterred, as though invited into the mirage. The air hums with the subtle magic of transformation. There is something profoundly poetic about seeing yourself, just for a moment, reflected in a place of beauty you helped create. The mirror doesn't just reflect what is, it reveals what could be. Each time the light changes, the garden shifts with it, reshaping its own reflection. Morning paints it in gold, afternoon in calm green, evening in soft lavender shadows. As twilight descends, tiny lights awaken in the garden. They shimmer in the mirror like distant constellations, each one doubling upon itself in silent radiance. The space feels infinite now, filled with color, warmth, and stillness. This upcycled door mirror isn't merely decor. It's a doorway into perception. It invites the eyes to wander and the mind to rest. Teaches that beauty doesn't always need more space, only more imagination. And in that moment, as the mirrored garden stretches into forever, you realize something quiet yet powerful. Sometimes, to expand the world, all we need to do is reflect it with love. When dusk descends upon the garden, and the last birds sing their soft farewells, the light changes. It no longer falls, it breathes. Hanging beneath the tender canopy of asters, small orbs begin to glow. Hollowed coconut shells, each carved by hand, each whispering a pattern of light and shadow into the evening air. The shells, once rough and forgotten, now bloom again, this time with fire instead of fruit. Their tiny perforations cast constellations across the leaves, and the asters, bathed in their golden shimmer, look as if they're blooming under starlight. The air carries the faint scent of wax and soil, the quiet hum of life winding down yet refusing to fade. Under the canopy, the world feels softer. The garden furniture glows in subtle reflection. The marigolds flicker at their edges, and even the sedum seems to blush under the warmth. It's not brightness that fills the space, it's intimacy, a gentle glow that asks nothing, promising only peace. Every shell is different. Some are shaped wide and open, others slender, their light spilling through petal-shaped holes. Together, they create a slow rhythm of illumination, moving with the wind, pulsing like the heartbeat of the garden itself. You can almost hear the night breathe between them. As the hours deepen, the light becomes more profound. Shadows stretch long, the stars above mirror those below, and for a moment you can't tell which ones are real. It feels as though the earth and sky have folded together into one tender, glowing space. This upcycling is not just craft, it's poetry in form and function. The coconut shells remind us that beauty lives in the overlooked, that light can emerge from anything given the right touch of care. Beneath the canopy of asters, where scent and shadow dance, the fairy lights flicker on, defying the dark. They do not try to outshine the stars. They simply join them. And in their quiet glow, the garden remembers how to dream. The path through the garden has no map. It leads not to a destination, but into feeling. Beneath your feet, the stones are cool and uneven, bordered by a shimmer of color that dances with the light. Bottles, once plain and forgotten, now rise like tiny stained glass windows half buried in the earth, marking the way forward. Green, blue, and amber glass catch the morning sun, breaking it into fragments of gold and ocean. The marigolds lean toward the glow, their petals gilded by reflection. Asters sway gently, their purple soft against the brightness. Each step feels alive, each glint of light a small celebration of what care and imagination can restore. There is music here, not of instruments, but of texture and tone. The bottles hum with passing wind, their hollow necks whispering like quiet flutes. The path becomes a melody underfoot, where every reflection changes as the day grows. Morning brings clarity, afternoon warmth, evening depth. By night, when small lights weave between the bottles, the pathway becomes a river of stars. This edging isn't built for order, it's built for wonder. It doesn't fence the flowers in, it frames them. It gives the garden structure without stealing its softness, turning every border into a brushstroke of light. The recycled glass becomes a painter's palette on the ground, shifting hues as the seasons turn. When autumn arrives, fallen leaves catch against the bottles, their edges glowing like fire. In spring, the path mirrors the sky. In winter, frost clings to the glass, turning it to crystal. Through all of it, the garden breathes. The bottles, in their silence, hold stories of dinners shared, of laughter long gone, of something once empty now full again. They remind us that beauty can emerge quietly, where hands and heart meet purpose. And as you walk the path lined in color and light, it feels less like you're crossing a garden and more like you're walking through memory itself, soft, vibrant, and endlessly alive. In a forgotten corner of the yard, a rusted door once stood silent, its color long surrendered to time. The years had marked it with orange and brown, like a slow-burning memory of neglect. But one morning, with brushes and patience in hand, it was given another chance to speak again, not through creaks or hinges, but through color. Turquoise spread first, soft as the summer sky. Then came coral and gold, chasing away the dullness of rust until the metal began to shimmer like dawn. Sedum was planted near its feet, spilling green over the threshold, its tiny leaves glowing under the new light. What was once decay became a canvas of rebirth, nature and craft entwined. The garden seemed to lean closer to watch. Marigolds nodded in approval. Asters mirrored the palette in their blooms. Bees traced lazy loops around the new colors, as if curious about the transformation. The air smelled faintly of wet paint and earth, a scent of renewal, of something begun again. Each brushstroke told a quiet story, not of hiding the past, but of embracing it. The rust still whispered beneath the layers of paint, a reminder that beauty doesn't mean perfection, it means persistence. The door, now reborn, reflected the morning sun like it had been waiting for it all along. As evening approached, the colors deepened. The turquoise grew richer, the coral warmer, the sedum more vivid under the amber light. The old door no longer guarded an entrance, it became one. A passage into the idea that time and care can transform anything. Now it stands as art, not framed in glass, but framed by life. A statement of quiet resilience among blooms and leaves. The rust, the paint, the plants, all share one story, that even what once seemed lost can find beauty again when touched by color, earth, and intention. And when the night lights flicker against it, the garden glows softly. Proof that the line between ruin and renewal is often just a brushstroke away. Morning begins softly in the cottage garden, the kind of quiet that hums with life before it's fully awake. From the old branches above the path hang tiny homes made of coconut shells, each one shaped with care, each one offering refuge. Birds flit between them, their wings brushing against marigold petals below. The garden breathes in rhythm with the flutter. Each birdhouse is unique. Some are polished smooth, others still hold the gentle marks of nature. Grooves from the sea, scars from sun and wind. A small hole opens to a cozy hollow lined with dried moss. The shells sway gently in the breeze, creaking faintly against the rope. Their soft, earthy color blends perfectly with the greens and golds of the garden around them. The marigolds and asters stand bright beneath, reflecting the morning light that filters through the leaves. Dew sparkles on sedum, and bees hover lazily nearby. The scene feels like a living painting, wild yet tender, crafted yet effortless. The upcycled shells add to the harmony, becoming part of the garden's pulse. There's something deeply comforting in these small sanctuaries. The coconut shells, once discarded remnants, now cradle life and sound. The chirps of hatchlings, the rustle of feathers, the promise of return. They remind us that care doesn't need to be grand to be meaningful. Even a humble shell, when hung with intention, can become a home. As the day fades into twilight, the birdhouses turn golden under the fairy lights strung between branches. Their curved forms glow softly, mirroring the last warmth of the sun. A few birds settle for the night, and the garden quiets once again, wrapped in the hush of belonging. The air smells of damp soil and evening flowers. The birdhouses sway, whispering their gentle secret into the dusk, that beauty is not in what is new, but in what is given a second chance to shelter life. And as the stars rise, you realize, The garden doesn't just grow plants here, it grows kindness. And so, our quiet journey through the garden comes to rest. Among colors that never shout and forms that speak in silence, we have seen how small, simple things can bloom again. Every bottle that glowed with light, every door that opened to new life, every shell that found purpose once more. All remind us that beauty is not created, it is rediscovered. In the world of Teraflora Studio, we don't chase perfection. We listen to the language of texture, of shadow, of time. Here, a chipped surface becomes a memory, and every mark tells a story worth keeping. Through each upcycled creation, we remember that the soul of art is not about replacing what's old. It's about reawakening what still breathes quietly within it. Let this feeling stay with you, even after the screen fades. When you walk outside and see light fall across a forgotten object, imagine what it could become. Imagine how simple hands, with care and intention, can turn the ordinary into something luminous. Every frame you've seen, every word you've heard, was gently shaped with the help of artificial intelligence. A tool we use not to replace imagination, but to extend it to blend human warmth with digital light. Thank you for sharing this calm space with us today. If this journey has brought you peace, inspiration, or a spark of new ideas, we invite you to stay close, to subscribe to Teraflora Studio. Here, the art of nature and the poetry of renewal will always have a place to grow. Until we meet again, may your days be soft, your hands creative, and your world gently in bloom.